Hey everyone, Teo here. Today I'm reviewing the Gemibook XPro from Chuwi. This is a 14.1-inch budget tablet, and this is a review sample provided by the company, and I do get to keep this. For this review, I'm just going to present to you my findings so that you can decide whether or not this is worth the money. And the price for this laptop is around US $250 to $300. I'm giving you a price range because the price will vary depending on whether there is any promotion. And the price may or may not include shipping depending on your location. At the time of making this video, this laptop is $270 on AliExpress. And let me give you the bottom line up front. For that price, you will get the entry-level Intel N100 processor, which was released early this year, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, and integrated graphics. This laptop is designed for non-gaming purposes, and even though the benchmarks or the specifications don't look that great, the real-world performance is actually pretty smooth. I can have web pages load really quickly. I can have multiple tabs here and switch between the tabs or switch between the many apps that are open very quickly without lag. The only time that I experience lag is when I am exporting photos in the background. Now when I am editing photos, like making adjustments, the edits happen quite quickly. Not instantaneous, but pretty quickly. So if I export videos or photos in the background, then there will be lag when I go back to the web browser. But if you are not exporting anything in the background, the performance overall is really smooth. And I can recommend this laptop just based on the smooth non-gaming performance alone. So when Chuwi asked if I wanted to review a laptop that is less than $300, I had really low expectations, like really low. But after using this laptop for 3 weeks, I have to say that this is a really good laptop for the price you pay. But of course, there will be many limitations for a laptop at this price point. The main limitation is the battery life is just 4 hours. Color support for the display isn't that great, and you can see the brightness and the colors will shift due to the viewing angle. And the brightness is bright enough, but I wish it could be brighter. The keys and the touchpad sound and feel plasticky, but they work well. This laptop looks pretty good to me. And even though everything is made of plastic, the build quality is actually quite solid. So this is a laptop I can recommend very easily to people with simple computing needs, thanks to the smooth performance and the very budget, affordable price point. So the startup from sleep takes a bit longer compared to other laptops I have tested. And by the way, there is no fingerprint and face unlock, unfortunately. The gaming performance for this laptop is not good. The main issue is the frame rates cannot remain constant. So when you're playing, sometimes the frame rates will be fast, sometimes it will be slow, and it's quite annoying. Alright, on to the full review. So these are the items included in the box. It's just a power adapter and a laptop. This is a 12-volt 2-ampere power adapter. Just make sure you choose the correct plug when you are getting the laptop. And the barrel's diameter is 4mm. This laptop does not support USB-C charging and does not support fast charging. Design of this laptop looks clean and simple. The bezels are quite thin on the left and right sides, thicker at the top and bottom, and there is a 720p camera at the top with a privacy shield, Chuwi logo here. The weight is 1.46 kg, which is quite reasonable for a 14.1-inch laptop. So the overall construction is quite solid with minimal flex, even though everything is made with plastic. So the cover is matte textured with a subtle Chuwi logo here. The edges are nice. The edges are not beveled, but they are not sharp. This plastic material is hard, but it's not that hard. And I actually have several dents on the edges already. There is enough space on the left and right side for your fingers to go underneath to lift the laptop up easily. To open the lid, you will need 2 hands. Underneath the laptop, there are 4 rubber feet, and these rubber feet have good height to them. The fan exhaust is at the back. The fan noise is low. This laptop does not produce much heat, so the fan doesn't really spin up unless you are updating Windows, updating Adobe Creative Cloud, or you're doing processor-intensive work or playing games. The back cover can be opened easily with cross-type screwdrivers. I did not open the back though. From what I've read, the RAM is not user upgradable, but the SSD is user upgradable. So you can use NVMe Gen 3 SSD in this. The bottom facing speakers are located here. The audio sounds slightly hollow and the volume isn't that loud, but the speakers are still usable. Many of the downsides or limitations with this laptop can be justified by saying, but this laptop is just $270 US. The build quality really is pretty good. There is minimal flex. There is one fan inside and the fan noise is not audible with non-gaming usage. And there is very minimal flex on the keyboard surface as well. Keyboard layout is good. And there is this additional column here with the power button, home and page up, page down. The arrow keys are full height. The keys are matte textured and there is no backlight, by the way. The plastic that is used to make the keys feel kind of plasticky. And when you tap on the top here, you can hear the keys. Tapping experience is alright. The keys still have good travel and feedback. The touchpad is big and it supports finger gestures, and the touchpad is centered on the laptop. It would be great if this can go beneath the space bar, because when I'm typing I find that my finger here would activate the touchpad quite often. The touchpad is accurate and sensitive enough. There are left and right click areas, and there's this small area in the middle where you cannot press down. So if you want to left click or right click, you have to move your finger very obviously in the left or right areas. The function keys work as F1 to F12. There is no function lock, so if you want to use the function key shortcuts, you have to press Fn plus those buttons or keys. Shift key on the right side has reduced width due to the full size arrow keys. Light indicator for the caps lock is up here. This keyboard layout is pretty standard and it's easy to get used to. The ports are located only on the left side of this laptop. That's the power light indicator, the barrel port for power, full-size HDMI that supports 4K UHD resolution up to 60 Hz, USB Type-A, USB Type-C. Both USB ports support 450 megabytes per second transfer speeds, and this USB-C port is only for transfer. It does not output video and it does not support charging. This is the 3.5mm audio jack. On the right side, there is a Kensington lock. This edge is beveled and there is a bigger bevel here. The display can go all the way down. This display doesn't go to the back. The hinge is quite stiff, which is nice. So if you hold the laptop to move it around like this, the display will not wobble that much. But if you shake the laptop, the display can actually go down, so don't shake the laptop. At the top, there are 4 rubber cushions for the lid. So let's talk about this display. This is a 14-inch IPS LCD. On some websites, this is listed as 14.1 inches. The resolution is 1920 by 1080 pixels and the aspect ratio is 16 by 9. With a color calibrator, I measured color support for just 67% sRGB, 50% O2B RGB, and 50% P3, and I measured a maximum brightness of 226 nits. Interestingly, Chris from Tech Tablets YouTube channel measured brightness over 300 nits, but from what I can see, this display doesn't look like it has brightness over 300 nits, at least for this display on this review unit that I have here. 226 nits is still bright enough for use in a bright room environment, such as the room that I'm in right now. So this is not a display I would use for visual content creation due to the color support or the lack of color support. And also, you can see the viewing angle will affect the brightness as well as the colors. But there is a HDMI port, so if you really do want to create graphics, you can connect an external monitor, preferably one that's color calibrated, to the HDMI port. For the price point of this laptop, I find it difficult to complain too much about this display. This is not a bad display, it's just that it's not as good compared to better displays out there. I definitely have no problems using this display for non-visual content work, such as browsing the web, checking emails, doing some documents or Excel or social media. The colors, they do look good enough. Pixelation is slightly noticeable, but it's not an issue for me. The 1080p workspace is still very usable. Let's talk about performance. So this laptop comes with the Intel N100 processor, which is not a very powerful processor. And if you look at the benchmarks, which I don't have any for you because I'm not into benchmarking, the benchmarks would be on the lower side. But in the real world, with actual work like surfing the web, watching YouTube videos, doing your Word or Excel documents, or checking social media, the performance is pretty smooth. I actually don't experience any lag at all. So this is me launching Chrome and it's really fast. Web pages can load really fast as well. And all I ask for with a budget laptop is for it not to lag, and for that I am very satisfied with the performance with this laptop. In fact, I am very satisfied. As long as you're not gaming, you can expect smooth and lag-free performance, and apps are able to launch quite quickly, and you can switch between apps pretty quickly as well. So let me switch over to Adobe Lightroom. I did edit some photos on this tablet and operations is pretty smooth. So let's go back to grid mode, develop mode. It takes a bit longer to go into develop mode. Let's go back to grid mode again and back to develop. Okay, now it's faster. Let's go to the next picture. Next picture, you can see it's not instantaneous. With other laptops I have tested, the operations like going into grid and going into develop mode, it's going to be much faster. When it comes to editing photos, the edits happen fast enough. It's not instantaneous, but it's fast enough. I think the most important takeaway point you should have with this laptop is there will not be any annoying lag. I do not recommend gaming on this laptop because this laptop has difficulty maintaining consistent frame rates even at 720p resolution. This is certainly not a laptop for editing videos, so I did not even try to edit any videos. But this is a good laptop for watching videos. The colors look good enough and the resolution, the 1080p resolution looks good enough. A budget laptop will have compromises and limitations, and the most important thing I want out of a budget laptop is it must not lag. And this laptop doesn't lag unless you are exporting photos or videos in the background. If you're just using this laptop for office type work, for non-gaming work, This laptop performs really well. And here I'm using this graphic design app to create a thumbnail. And overall operations is really smooth. Is this laptop worth the money? That would be a definite yes from me. This is a laptop for those with simple computing needs. And this laptop, in my opinion, provides excellent value for money. I'm not sure how Chuwi is able to still make money selling this laptop at $270 US. I mean, this is even cheaper compared to some Android tablets. But you get a larger display, you get a keyboard, touchpad, and the ports, and you get Windows OS. Of course, at this price point, there will be limitations, there will be some downsides. The color support for the display is not that good, but this is not a lousy display, it still looks alright. The build quality is surprisingly solid, but certain parts feel a bit plasticky, which is alright. Again, very difficult to complain about those minor issues or downsides considering the price point of this laptop. I am not trying to oversell this laptop. The performance is as you have seen. I find it quite amazing, and I'm very impressed that you can get smooth, lag-free computing experience at this price point, because I have actually reviewed many laptops that are more expensive but feel sluggish. Alright, if you guys are interested to get this laptop, you can find it on Chuwi's online store or on AliExpress. The links will be in the video description below.